David, I just wanted to quickly go through section 2 of your book. You go into mindset mentor practices such as transparency, questioning, stress, purpose, and belonging. And I was hoping you could quickly just walk through all five in a succinct way to give the audience an understanding of how the mentor mindset attacks each one of these.
So first of all, thanks. I love the opportunity to go through this, and I will keep it short in terms of all right. Well, what does the public think each of these means, and what does it actually mean to do them? So the whole second half of the book revolves around the idea that as I was telling people about this mentor mindset framework, people like Steph and other great teachers that I write about, and parents and so on, they'd say, all right, well, but maybe these managers and teachers and parents are just preternaturally disposed to being outrageously great at mentorship and leadership. Maybe they're like Athena from the Odyssey, where they just spring forth from Zeus's skull and then become capital M mentor that spends 20 years with Telemachus and helps him along his way. And I can't be that because I have other stuff going on. That's the main response I often get. And what I found is that actually, no, there's concrete stuff that all these mentor mindset exemplars do and that anyone else can do. And so if you're a mentee listening to this or watching this, these are things you can look for as you decide who do I want to be my manager or my mentor. And if you're a mentor, these are things where it's like, all right, I don't have to be the Greek goddess of wisdom to be a good mentor. Here are some concrete things I can start doing right now, and they can have an impact. The first of them, ordered in the book, is transparency. And the idea there is you just need to explain what you're doing, basically your standards and your high support, a little bit more than you think you need to. The reason why is pretty simple. If you assume young people are mostly talked down to, that they're grown splained all this information all the time, then they're coming to our relationships with them with baggage. And they're going to presume the worst of us as leaders unless we're super transparent about what we're doing and why. So maybe you're already a leader that tries to have high standards and high support, but what the person is seeing, what the mentee is seeing, is just our high standards. The first practice is just to explain, hey, I'm providing you this feedback, for instance, because I have very high standards and I believe that you can meet them. Anyone can do that. You can do it with just a few words, make it a habit. The rule of thumb is say something transparent about your attention and intentions about 3 times more than you think you need to say it. The second one is questioning. So, one thing I saw a lot is that mentors are very tempted to explain everything. Again, I use this word grown splaining. The idea is that I, the 30 or 40-year-old, have thought through what's good for your future. And if only you would listen to me, then you would make wise choices, right? It's like middle school health class, right? And that's our default approach for working with young people. When you look at the great mentors, the great exemplars I've found, they ask questions 3 to 4 times more than they tell information. So great mentor mindset teachers, the kid says, hey, is this problem right? They say things like, I don't know, is it? And insecure mentor is like, yes, it is. Great. Good job. Way to go. You tried hard. The great mentor mindset exemplars hardly ever provide direct feedback, and they hardly ever praise for getting right answers or even for effort. It's almost always questioning to put the impetus back on the young person to do the thinking. The great basketball coach I followed, Chip England, isn't telling you how to fix your shot. When he was fixing Steve Kerr's shot, he's not just telling you. He's asking, he's like, how did that feel? What went wrong for you there? He's making the player have a coach in their head. So questioning is a second practice, and there's some very specific routines that I've seen work and that anyone can do. Next is stress. So suppose you're in a world in which you're pushing people to their limits and they're going beyond what they thought they were capable of. Well, they're going to feel some stress. And in our society, the normal message around stress is give up on that. Don't do it, as I was saying earlier in this interview. And that worldview that Ali Crum calls stress is debilitating ends up being pretty bad for young people. It can make the stress worse. It can also prevent them from leveling up their skills. So the very simple practice is to use what we call the stress can be enhancing mindset that Ali Crum initially developed. She's a Stanford professor. And I, along with my collaborator, Jeremy Jameson, who's at Rochester, and Chris Bryan, who's at UT, we developed a mindset intervention that combines growth mindset. So your difficulties now can grow and change with stress can be enhancing. And when you embrace those difficulties and feel stressed, that stress is helping you. And so we have some very specific language that any leader can use to echo those messages of growth mindset and stress can be enhancing. The last two things I'll just say briefly are about belonging and purpose. These are big concepts that can feel ephemeral and hard to pin down. What I talk about in the book is that expert mentor mindset leaders have developed routines for, in the case of belonging, helping you tell a story to yourself about how early difficulties don't mean you don't belong, but instead are a means through which you create belonging. So they help you reframe social difficulties as a route to belonging. And with purpose, the big trick is to get young people to think beyond their narrow short term self interest or even their long term self interest and think about how any striving now, even any stress and frustration now, is you doing your part to help build skills that help you make a difference in the world beyond yourself. It's an in, the purpose chapter gives a set of routines and stories and studies about how impactful it can be to help a young person move from a world in which anything hard now is simply a sacrifice for good things in the long term future to instead think that difficulties now are a sign that I'm doing something meaningful and purposeful, that they're part of my passion for the future, and that they have implications beyond myself. So each one also has stories from real leaders who've tried to implement this, people who've struggled to implement this, why was it hard for them, and also how the mentor mindset fits in with each of these ideas and helps us to continue to use these practices in our daily routines over time.